And we're back for another wow. That was yeah, okay, let's start this again. We're back for another Creators Collective, and this week is going to be a very interesting week. This will probably be a shorter version because we are down a person. Man down. Zach is not here with us. So we'll play the bugle and mourn his loss, but we will carry on without him. Won't we, Will?
And we will, and we're not as loquacious as our southern friend.
Well, I do want to say thank you to our patrons on Patreon, particularly Darren Mates, Caleb Harris, and You Can Make This Too. No, excuse me, Caleb. Wow, I'm having.
You were having a hard time today.
Caleb Harris from You Can Make This Too, and John from John Made It. Thank you, guys. And if you would like to join our patrons and get your name mentioned up there, you can find us on patreon.com/Creators Collective. I do want to say that we are now on SoundCloud, so you can find us iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, and all those fun places. And you can join us live every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 Central. And we will be doing the live on YouTube, so you can find us on YouTube and actually see our faces. Join the chat, and that's where we have a lot of fun. And usually our questions come from that chat, so it is a good time to have with all. And usually at this point, I try and make Zach stutter by saying, "Hey, what's up, Zach?" We'll skip that. Will, what you got?
Let's see. What am I working on? I'm working on a bunch of stuff. A bunch of stuff is happening right now. Work got started on our pool last week. I talked about that, and it's quite sizable. Looks a lot different with a hole in the ground and the walls up. And they had to pull off this week to go finish a different job. And they're going to come back next week. So I've been lining up. I've been kind of designing the space around it and getting my elevations and trying to make it all work with the landscape that's there. Different levels, different elevations, from where the pool height had to be because of the downhill and, making the in-ground pool stay in ground and not above ground.
Are those steel walls, or is that like the concrete form?
Those are steel walls. Yeah. And then they'll pour concrete in the bottom, and then they brace those walls, and then a vinyl liner will sit over all of that, and kind of nest in, and then we fill it full of water after we backfill and pour concrete for the pool deck and all that fun stuff. So yeah. No, I took a break from the walnut dining table to put together that live edge bench, which is a mulberry top and a white oak base with the base, I guess, splayed. We've talked about this before. What's the difference between splay and rake?
One has tines.
The direction of the tilt of the legs. Is it splay is out and rake is front to back?
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I've never gotten much into chairs, so
okay. I would say the rake then of the chairs. It's a 6-degree. The bench has a 6-degree rake on the legs, and then all the joints are half laps, and then I did a trestle across the bottom and kept it just proud of the stretchers on the basically side assemblies of the bench. And I put a chamfer on all of those, and it's just I just really like that detail. It was like I made it that way because I wanted to, and it just adds that little bit of where it just doesn't blend in, and just kind of all look like white oak, but it gives some nice shadow lines. So that's all sanded. I'm going to put finish on that today. I have to look at my cheat sheet here. I got the okay to start the project for toolstoday.com. I'm building a media cabinet for them, and that'll have an interesting detail where it's going to have basically three compartments with shelves in it, and then it'll have 2 doors that will slide in dados to cover either the center panel or the outside panels, the outside compartments. And that, I'm not sure what I'm going to make that out of. Maybe white oak, maybe quarter sawn white oak, maybe ash. I don't know. I haven't decided. But also, TotalBoat contacted me from Jamestown Distributors. They make all sort of boating epoxies and are trying to get into the woodworking, more into the woodworking realm with people using their epoxies. So they sent me kind of a goodie box to try out to see if I like their epoxies. And in that talk, I said, if I like your epoxies, would you want to sponsor a video? I've been thinking for a long time about making a cedar strip canoe, and they jumped all over that. They said, that would be perfect for our brand because, we're a boating epoxy company trying to get into woodworking, and that kind of ties everything in together. And so that kind of made me go, oh crap, now I have to build a cedar strip canoe. Along with everything else, putting in a pool and building the pool house and all that jazz. And I should be getting a knife grinder today from Grizzly. And I'm excited to try my hand at some knife making. I think I'm going to make a paring knife first, something that's not too big, but is still pretty utilitarian because we do a lot of cooking in my house. And as much as I like, tactical knives and things, I don't find them practical in my everyday use. I carry a small pocket knife on me, but I'd like to make something useful. And I might try to do a collaboration with somebody like Epically A. Justin out in California who makes things out of recycled skateboards. So I might get him to do the recycled skateboard scales for the knife. I don't know, but yeah, that's what's going on with me. What's going on with you, James?
Yeah, I was actually looking at TotalBoat too myself with possibly switching from West System to that because I've heard some good things from a few people. But yeah, I built most of an airplane using West System, so I know and trust that. But it'd be kind of interesting to compare the two and see what I like.
Well, it's funny because I had just run out of West Systems, and so I ordered more of the resin and hardener, and it was sitting in a box on my washer and dryer unopened. And Jamestown Distributors contacted me like the next day and said, we want to be your epoxy people, and we're going to send you some stuff. And I was like, crap, I just bought $100 worth of West Systems.
That's the way it normally goes.
Yeah. All right. So.
Yeah. So, that's right. You have a doors you could take the canoe out of your basement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. I had a friend in Pennsylvania who made a cedar strip canoe in his basement, and it was actually a longer kayak, and I could not figure out how because his stairs had a decent bend in them to get out. And when he was getting close to getting finished, he said, "Hey, what are you doing on such and such a day in this month?" And I said nothing. So he said, well, "Okay, we're going to get the kayak out of the basement that day." So, okay, so we went over to his house. Well, he had paid for his wife to go on a trip with some other women overnight. And we got there. We got in the living room, took all the furniture off the floor, peeled back the carpet, took up the subfloor, took out one of the joists, brought the kayak up between the joists into the living room outside, put the joist back in, put the subfloor in, put the carpeting back down, all before his wife came.
Wow. That's insane.
So that was dedication right there. I'm thinking I might have to do the same thing with this table. We'll see.
Yeah, that's going to be, you need some good friends for that table.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. What do I have going on? I got to look at my sheet. I've got the hand tool build off going on. Just kicked off a couple days ago as of June 1st. So people have between June 1st and July 31st to get in their entries for the build off. And all you have to do is build a tool and then be willing to give it away to someone else. And we're trying to get them into the hands of people who are new into woodworking or have less money to buy tools, just kind of a way to increase the community. And on top of that, then all of the tools that are being made, the one stipulation is that you have to have a tutorial on how you made the tool. So a video or a blog or image list. And that then creates a bunch of tutorials about how to make hand tools. So it's kind of this self-building ball that's rolling down the hill, and a lot of fun. And we've got a pile of prizes. Let's see, we have a blue spruce marking knife. We have Loftbrooks aprons, card scrapers, wood stains, dovetail jigs, carving, an entire carving chisel set, some epoxy, and actually the epoxy from TotalBoat, and then possibly be getting a low angle jack. I'm still working on getting that in there. So there's some fun things in that.
Wow, that's really cool. How many entries did you have last year?
I think it was 33, so not that many.
Okay.
So it's really, really good odds of winning something.
Very cool. I might make like a marking knife or something, or a marking gauge for your hand tool build off.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Try to get some tools into the hands of people that don't know they need tools.
Yeah, the cool thing about it is it's open to anyone in the world. So if you are in, if you're in the UK, then basically when the person wins your tool, you only have to ship it to someone in the UK. You don't have to ship it anywhere else. So your people are only eligible for the tools in the country that they're made.
Okay.
And that way they're still all around the world in most of the countries that the channel reaches, but people don't have to ship them all over the world.
Yeah, that's shipping would be insane on all that stuff.
Yeah, makes it a little easier. Let's see what else I'm kind of taking a break from the table because my wife and I are helping out at a local camp this week, so I'm up there making things for them. But the videos I have coming out, I'm going to be making a whistle, something I've wanted to make for a while, just a little wooden whistle, a quick fun project. And I'm kicking myself I didn't bring the kids in on this one because it would have been a fantastic project for the kids. But oh well. Then I'm also going to be making a breadboard and a bread knife. And I want to make a bow knife. That's been on my list for a long time.
Didn't Le Pic Bois, Pat Lapp, didn't he make a bow knife or a bow, like a bread knife with the...
Yeah, he made one a while ago.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Is that similar to what you were thinking?
Yeah, it's slightly different style, but yeah, very similar. I want to make a breadboard. Well, what I want to do is make the bow knife and then cut out, the bowed portion of the wood, and then take that portion and glue it to the breadboard, so that the knife houses on the breadboard.
Okay.
So it's all like one kit.
So your breadboard, what makes it
not have
different?
breadboards on it?
What makes it different than just a cutting board? Are you putting the grooves in it like people do so the crumbs fall through, or...
No, it's a breadboard because there's a bread knife on it.
Cool. All right. That's the qualifier,
I guess.
Yeah, kind of like a charcuterie board is, charcuterie board if you put meats on it.
Yeah.
Cured meats.
So
cool.
Just a couple fun, quick projects, things that probably can be made in a couple hours in the shop. And I thought that would be kind of inspiring and interesting. So
that's cool. Speaking of kids projects, I forgot to mention this a week ago, but I recently just made my niece a sword for her birthday. It had a hard maple blade and walnut scales, and the hilt was also walnut. But that was a fun little kids project to do quickly.
That does sound like fun. I might have to try that. Although it'd be dangerous with my kids.
I made sure to keep it very, very blunt.
Well, yeah. Anything with my kids swinging around, telling them it's a sword is just all glass in the house immediately shatters.
Oh, wow. Cool. So what about your joinery window?
Oh yeah, yeah. I forgot about that. Uh, I'm making a um, my live series on the channel is all about joints right now. So I'm making a joinery window, which is basically it used to be the challenge for apprentices turning into, well, different people say it was at different points in the stage, but basically it was one of those things that if it was done well, you knew that there was a lot of skill into it, and it is six boards creating a four panel window, and um, all of the nine joints at the nine intersections of the six boards have a different joint. So half lap and bridle joint and mortise and tenon and dovetail and a splined miter and a few other things like that. So it's a great way to experience and practice different joints without making anything that's really all that necessary, I guess.
Mhm.
and and so that each week on the live video, I'm going into full detail on one of the joints. So it's like an hour long video of and seeing every bit of the process. So you get to see all of the mistakes I make, all of the problems I run into, and how it all comes together. And so I think a lot of people like to see it because in YouTube you see a lot of the perfection, and it's hard to actually show the problems. Whereas with the live video, it's very easy to show off the problems. Like, I made a mistake here. Maybe next time I'll do it this way instead. And it's a just a really good learning experience for most people.
Very
So,
cool.
yeah, if you want to see that, go to my channel.
Yeah, I just posted it also in the live chat. But I also forgot my video this week. I just put it out last night. It was a film school Friday, but it was on a Wednesday. And it was because both Casey Neistat and Peter McKinnon both put out their initial reviews of the DJI Ronin S 3-axis gimbal that's available for pre-sale right now. And I had the Axtoon A1 3-axis gimbal in my shop for the last 2 weeks, and I've been playing around with it. And I was like, well, if they're putting out those videos, I should put out my video. So that's the reason I put it out on a Wednesday. But that gimbal is just, it's incredible. It's so fun to shoot with. Like the footage that comes out is just buttery and smooth, and now it's hard to put your camera back on a tripod.
Yeah.
But I actually use it more so as like a motorized pan and tilt device.
Oh, yeah.
Because it comes with an app. Well, yeah, it comes with an app with your phone that you can do motion control and time lapse, and so you can set 20 points on a path. So you can go, I usually go A to B, but you could go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and the gimbal would go from point A to B, and then B to C, and then C to D, all while you're recording. So it's a great way to add motion to my footage in my shop, like for something that is kind of boring, like sanding.
Yeah.
You could have it just kind of pan, right to left as you're sanding, and it makes it an incredibly more dynamic shot. So I've been having a lot of fun playing with that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we have one question in the chat this week from the Duck. Gotta love it when Ducksworth gets in here. What tools do you see as tools that help you in the shop? For example, a paintbrush that I use for cleaning out planes and wood joints.
Go ahead.
No, I was actually thinking about that. It's like I was a while ago looking for a brush to clean out planes, and I bought the Lee Nielsen brush, which I really like. And they make this specialty brush for cleaning out planes. It's really kind of my one Lee Nielsen tool that I can afford.
Yeah, right.
But I lost it, and I couldn't. And so for a while, I just didn't brush out my planes, which really isn't a problem. It's just they look dirty. And I'm thinking, a paintbrush. That's a fantastic idea. I didn't even thought of that. I'll have to grab that.
Um,
But as
I
to
don't.
like tools that I use for other uses in the shop, I don't know.
I've got probably my number one most liked tip in any of my videos is the dollar store bag of drinking straws for cleaning out squeeze out on glue
Yes.
on the inside of joints, like on the inside corners. The straw conforms to the walls of the joint, and you can get really deep down in there, and it makes clean out just super simple, and it costs $1.
Yeah.
We actually had another question that came in through Instagram right now. Let me. This is from John Made It. Let's see. Oh, here we go. It's a longer question, so I'm going to paraphrase. He got into cycling, but his question is, what do you guys do, if anything, to stay healthy, and how do you stay fit in and around the work and the workshop? This is a great question for James because you're like a fitness nut. I dislike exercise. I don't find it fun. I know some people like they get in the zone and they hit that, and like they just love it. I have yet to find that zone, so I struggle with exercise in the shop, but I do try to make myself exercise. Lately, I found splitting wood is like the best exercise I can make myself do, and I feel like I'm being productive. I guess I'm always starved for time. I have a huge problem with time management and not getting as much done as I want to get done, and I feel like I've always got so much on my plate that I'm not getting things done. So if I take time to exercise, I feel like I'm wasting time, and I know that's a flawed mentality. I know that exercise is important, but so I'll try to get out and cut and split firewood, and I'll climb up the log pile and throw the rounds down, and then try to like jog down the pile, and then split a bunch of rounds. So yeah, I don't know, James, what do you do?
Well, I most people consider me a runner, although I don't. I guess I am a runner because I run 60, 70 miles a week. But I never actually enjoyed running until I got to the point where I was doing about a half marathon distance, and then it suddenly clicked, and I was like, oh, this is fun. I find more enjoyment in the experimentation about what different types of working out does for me in different ways, and experimenting with body types. And I'm always changing my body type of, from weight building and focusing on one area or another just to experiment and have fun. And I find that testing and experimenting very enjoyable. That's the addictive part for me, which like right now I'm experimenting with how far can I run, coming up on a 60-mile race here soon. So, fitness for me is just, is normal life. And hand tools, it's a whole nother thing, because I'm usually full blown sweating and using my full upper body on things. So that's exercise is different in my shop.
Yeah,
required.
That's funny. I guess like I use my hand planes quite a bit, especially with I kind of do it the hybrid method of flattening slabs, because I work with a lot of live edge slabs, like this mulberry top. It had a pretty fair twist in it. From corner to corner, it was out about 3/8 of an inch. So I kind of like split the difference and shimmed 2 corners, and then I used my router sled to flatten it to take off about 3/16 from each corner. And then I jump back into my hand planes to remove those marks, because that's way faster than sanding. But yeah, I usually work up a pretty good sweat, smoothing, stuff like that, big work pieces. But very good question, because I've been struggling with that, trying to lose some lbs and feel healthier. And I know I feel much better when I don't have, the spare tire, and I don't get as fatigued in the shop, and my back doesn't hurt as much. So, very good question.
I normally tell people try and find something that either you enjoy or that challenges you. And usually that takes a bit of experimentation and trying out different things, and you never know what you like until you tried it. But find something that intrigues you, and it's kind of fun. And it may not be the same thing that continues. It's just whatever you feel like at the moment. So let's jump into the creators photo challenge, which we have this week.
Yeah.
We're doing the rule of thirds.
That's right. And they're due this week, right? We're picking a winner, right?
Yes, we're picking the winner right now.
Right now.
So if you don't have it in, then too bad. And we actually had a pretty good selection.
We did. There's a lot of really cool images that people came up with. And I really liked how people kind of took the rule of thirds and made it very workshoppy. And there are a lot of pictures of, actual rules, that measure things.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. So James, who are your two favorites?
I'm gonna have to go with Beaver Woodshop. He has this egg beater drill that is it's an antique hand tool, and it is a very beautiful hand tool, and I had to pick it because it just drew me in. And out of all the pictures, it was the one that captured my eye. So thank you. That was mine. And then the second one was Hedgehog's Wood Studio, and he had these cutting board handles. It was a very clean, neat shot that would have worked in last week's with the minimalist, but it was just well set up and a good shot all around.
Yeah, those pizza peels were the pizza peels are just nice. They're just good looking pizza peels, and then just really it was 3 pizza peels. I think he wanted bonus points for the rule of thirds with 3.
I didn't get that. Yeah. It was very appealing.
Yeah, so he was also one of my picks. Oh wow, I almost missed that joke. That was good. So yeah, Hedgehog Wood Studio was one of my picks as well, for all of the reasons that you just stated. And then the other one was Frog Legs Woodworks, who had 2 combination squares, both set on those kind of converging lines in the rule of thirds. And it was also just a simple photograph, very no distractions, is on his workbench top, and he gets bonus points because he actually used rules for the rule of thirds. But I think that's 2 for Hedgehog Woodworks, Hedgehog Wood Studio. So,
and it is my week to.
It is. So you won, dude.
So let's see. I'm going to send him.
Remember, he's in Canada, so
I'm going to send him a card scraper set. So one of my blue Wood by Right stamped card scrapers with the Thumb Saver card scraper, which you can see on my website if you want to come and purchase one.
Very cool. Nice.
So Hedgehog Studios, Hedgehog Wood Studios, I'll get in touch with you, or you can get in touch with me. Send me your address, and I will get that sent out to you.
Very cool. So I know Zach's not here today. He's dealing with some family stuff. But I say we go ahead and announce the next challenge. Are you good with that, James?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So this challenge, you'll have 2 weeks, and the theme is texture. So try to think outside the box. Try to look at things differently. Try to look at everyday and mundane things differently. Try to introduce texture into your images. And I could think of a lot of applications, especially in some sort of workshop dealing with wood or metal or electronics or anything like that. So 2 weeks. Just use the hashtag Creators Photo Challenge on Instagram, and we will be able to follow those, and we will pick our winner in 2 weeks.
Cool. This is actually turning into a lot of fun, and for those of you who enter it, it's a pretty decent because it's usually like what 12 to 15 or so actual applications for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you have a pretty good chance of winning if you just push yourself to think about the challenge, and it doesn't need to be on a professional DSLR, although that does help. You can shoot it with your iPhone or your Android or something like that. But
I generally shoot with my phone.
I try not to, because I try not to be, as a photographer, I try not to, they say that the best camera is the one that you have on you. But I try to make myself not be lazy, and I actually pull out my DSLR or my mirrorless cameras and
make it
not
the
just
camera on you.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Well, we have a fantastic joke of the week, and this is one that I absolutely love. It comes from Tony Oltmann. Did you guys what did I didn't spell that, or maybe I did spell that. Oh, oops. Did you guys hear what happened to me when I wore a respirator the other day? Did you?
No.
Oh, well, I thought you would have, because it made headlines.
Oh, but bum.
I love that one.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
So if you want to have your joke, feel free to send it to us, and we will we'll add that in there. And thank you, Tony. That was a good one. I like that one. Let's see. What are we watching, reading, or interesting as well? What you got?
Hang on, I'm just responding.
Well, then fine. I'll go.
Okay, you go.
I'm trying to remember. I was trying to find out who sent this to me, but someone sent me a link from Midway USA, a YouTube channel, and they had a video on gunsmithing, particularly making the checker texture on a gun stock, which if you're in metalworking, it's called knurling, and it's kind of this hash marking. But I'd never thought about how was that done before. And I'm looking at it from a carving standpoint and thinking, wow, making all those straight lines perfectly parallel would just be an absolute pain. And so it really kind of fascinated me. It was about a 25 minute long video going into great detail on how to make these lines perfectly straight and do it completely freehand. Fascinating video. At least for me, it was. So it's definitely worth checking out.
So how do you? I mean, I'm gonna go watch the video, but so what was the trick to getting them perfectly parallel and freehand?
Well, there's actually, they make these tiny files. They're basically files that are designed for it, and they come in a set of different sizes and shapes, but most of them have a dual pair, and so there's one skate that has no teeth in it, and then the other skate has teeth in it, so you can ride off of the previous line, keeping them in parallel. Really interesting tool set, and I wanna go find them now and see if I can fit that into some project, because it was just a very inspirational video.
Very cool.
What you got?
Well, I just found Manorwood. He is a professional woodworker in the UK, and he did a video, part 1, on how to make a Western red cedar hot tub. And he starts with live edge small slabs of Western red cedar, which I didn't know that they grew Western red cedar in the UK, but he says that they do, which I thought was kind of a mind thing. Hurt my brain a little bit that they grew Western red cedar, east of the United States in the UK, when we can't even grow it in the East. But it was really super cool. He took down the live edge slabs into dimensional lumber, milled it all up, and then put a cove and I guess you'd call it cove and bullnose or cove and roundover edge on these, 2-inch thick slabs with a big shaper, and then put dados in the bottoms of it all. And it just broke it down into a really, it sounds like an intense project, but he made it look like super, super simple. And I was like, oh, well, I'll just go make a hot tub now. But it was a really cool video. And now I want to make a cedar hot tub.
That's a project that's been on my list for a while. Is I want to make a hot tub, and make it like a Cooper barrel, like a half barrel.
Oh wow! Okay,
so that'd be fun.
That's very cool. I've had the idea to make a hot tub for a long time. I've got buddies over in West Virginia, and they are river guides on the New River, whitewater rafting and things, and they've all got their their cool cabins that they, that are like right on the New River Gorge. And a bunch of them have made, cause they make them portable, cause they break down. And then you kind of build them on site. So I saw a couple of theirs and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But I don't know how I would fill it.
Cool. Yeah. Let's get on to our favorite tool of the week. Mine is actually the Kuntz round bottom Spokeshave. I don't know if Kuntz is how you pronounce it, Kunz. But it's Kuntz makes these. They also make a cabinet scraper and Spokeshaves and some of the older style things, but they make them new, and they do a fairly decent job for the price. They're relatively cheap and good all around tools. But the round bottom Spokeshave is kind of my go-to tool for when there is no other tool to do something, because having a round bottom, you can get into all these nooks and crannies. And in making the whistle this week, it was just a extremely useful tool. And on top of that, the round bottom really makes it so you have to learn how to hold the Spokeshave, because you have far more control over it. You can roll it back and forth to make a heavier, deeper cut. Whereas with the flat bottom, you're locked to the sole, the depth you want. It's just a very fun tool once you actually master it.
Yeah, I'd like to pick one of those up. And just to clarify, when James says round bottom, it's the sole of essentially the sole. I guess you'd call it the sole of the shave, not the blade. It's a straight blade, straight knife, straight iron. Sorry, the straight iron with a convex sole on the shave. So
front to back, not side to side.
Yeah, I'd like to pick one of those up. It looks like a cool tool, and I've definitely had the need for it where I can't get my flat bottom shave into somewhere, like it just isn't cutting, and I can't advance the iron anymore just to get that little bit.
Yeah, it takes a bit to learn, because you roll it backwards and forward to engage the blade, and you can engage the blade more and more and more, and so you can take a very fine wispy shaving and then just roll it back just a hair more and take a heavier shaving. Making it very versatile to work at different points in the same work without having to adjust the iron itself.
So with that, I guess as you're rolling it, to make a certain depth shaving, are you then like locking your wrist so you don't roll it more, or are you like kind of like, if you're in the live chat?
It's one of those things that your wrists just learn over time, and you don't really think about it once you've learned it, because most of the time when you grab a round bottom Spokeshave, most of the time you're working on a surface that has undulations in it. It's not a perfectly flat, smooth surface. Mm-hmm. And so your wrist has to roll with it. And so you're always keeping it in relation to the work surface as opposed to in relation to your wrist. And so you're constantly rolling it and moving it around to fit different areas of the wood.
Very cool.
But a lot of people have problems when they first get going, because you have to have that rolling motion in the right spot. Otherwise, you can, if you roll it too far forward or too far back, it just doesn't cut. You're just running on the sole.
Okay.
So getting used to actually having it at the right angle is kind of tricky for some people, but it's a really worthwhile skill once you learn it.
Cool. Well, let's see. This week, I know I've already done this. I've already featured this tool, but it really is my favorite tool this week, and that is my new A1 3-axis gimbal. This thing it's not a drop in the bucket or a drop in the hat. It's $500, but it's if you're into filmmaking or YouTubing in your workshop, it's just a lot of fun. So fun. Like it was my daughter's birthday on Tuesday, and we got her this, ride on top 12-volt Ram 3500 dually. Yeah, I saw it and I was like, oh man. I looked up the reviews, and there was actually a YouTube video, and that's all this guy does is review like these, basically Power Wheels and other brands of ride on top. And there's this Ram 3500 dually in a tug of war with the Ford F-150, and he said, "All right, ready, set, go," and his kids, Anyway, I'm trailing off into whatever. It was just really. We got so me and my wife and my wife's parents went in together and got my daughter this ridiculous ride-on truck, and she loves it. But when we gave it to her, we walked outside, and I had this gimbal, and the footage just looks so buttery smooth of something as simple as a 3-year-old opening a birthday present. Yeah, that is just so cool. Anyway,
cool. Well, I think that about does it for this week. Is there anything else we need to add? I don't think so.
Nope. Just remember to get your Creators Photo Challenge entries in. You have 2 weeks. Texture.
Looking forward to seeing those. So I do want to say a huge thank you to our patrons on Patreon. Thank you for that. If you would like to find out more, patreon.com/Creators Collective. Also, if you want to join us live every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, we will be here on YouTube, and you can join the chat, have your questions answered, and become part of the party. So that's about it for this week. Until next time, see ya.
See you guys.